Okay, this is Code Art on the Sega Saturn, and this is the second in a series that I'm looking at this week on Japanese mountain drifting games. And the first was Initial D on the Saturn, and it doesn't have such a great reputation, and I came across this one on the Sega Gaga domain website run by Yakumo, and he's got a whole bunch of Saturn reviews on there of all the Japanese releases. And I came across this, and I wasn't sure what it was when I first saw it, because it's really a game of two halves. Part of it is it's almost like a dating game where you've got to win the affection of these characters, and on the other hand you've got these racing sections in the middle. So what you can do is you can switch between either full story mode, which if you don't read Japanese or you don't really fancy that kind of game, you can skip. And so what we're showing here, it really is just the battle mode, which is all the races put together, which is really what we're after in these well, not really reviews, waffles. But this game, I can see why it's got such a good reputation, because it's really smooth. I mean, graphically, bit of a mixed bag. The car has got no texture on it, it's just garage shaded polygons, and the pop-ups not great, but the frame rate really is solid. I know I said on the previous game that the Initial D frame rate was solid, but this really is. It might even be above 30 frames a second. It's certainly not 60, but it's really smooth. And the cars have got a weight to them, more so than Initial D. Maybe they've got too much weight to them, but you really feel that you're in control of the vehicle. And it's like when you turn too much, you've almost got to force it, against the momentum of the car. And I do like that. It's like a good rallying simulation. The camera is weird. You've got your normal one, so you're in-car view. You've got your typical outside view, and then you've got this one where the camera... Oh crap. Okay, let's try this again. My fault for not paying attention and messing with the cameras. Yeah, that's about the limit of my Japanese. I know the numbers and how to say who I am. Really should learn Japanese at some point. I've been saying that for years. But yeah, this is it. This is the camera. It's... Ooh, crap. It's a bit like virtual racing, where you get that really kind of far back helicopter view, but it rotates with the track, not the camera, the car rather. So it seems a bit unnatural, and the car really feels heavy with this. But you can... I'm losing control. You can really see where the programmers have really cut the corners to keep the frame rate up. There are bits missing it in the track, so I'll put it back on this kind of view just so we can keep some air of respectability with the graphics. But they do the job. You can't knock it for that. It feels... The handling on oh, go forward. The handling on the... Oh, go forward, you fool. On the game really feels more like a modern racing game. I quite enjoyed, forgive me for saying this, I actually quite enjoyed Need for Speed on the Run, where you're going through, well, really across America, and some of the mountain trails are really quite cool, and this, it reminds me of them a little bit. Hang on, what's this guy doing? You don't have a handbrake on this, which I'm a little bit surprised about. So that might be useful for getting past some enemies on certain corners, but I think given that handling model, oversteering isn't really going to be a problem. It's controlling it, so I think if you did a handbrake, it wouldn't be good. It's almost like Gran Turismo, where you well, you can't use the handbrake, it's just too strong. Yeah, the headlight's quite weird as well, because it's lighting up individual polygons, which causes this strange strobing effect. I'm not sure if I like that or not. Ah, yes, that's more like it. Okay, then this is the second track. Go on then. Oh. Go! It's more like it. Yeah, I'm almost expecting to see a rear view mirror, but again, I guess that's more to do with the frame rate and keeping the thing up. Oh, this track's a lot harder. I think this is going uphill. Usually on these kind of games you have downhill races and uphill races. I do find the downhill ones a lot more fun. I think they're easier in a way. Whereas on these you've got to accelerate really in the right places and every bit of power counts, whereas the downhill ones you really just try not to hit the corners. This is really the last in the Saturn games that I want to show. I've got a few on the PlayStation 2, and these were really amongst the first games that I picked up in the UK for the console. They were quite cheap as well, and I think it's just that these games don't have much of a reputation. Ooh, there we go. I don't know, I think it's something that hasn't really made an effect in the UK, and really for me it was just a case of trying to find something that was trying to replicate that experience that I had in the arcade with the Initial D game. And I don't want to spoil it too much before I show the videos, but they're quite different and they're quite similar in some ways. The tracks are nearly identical in most of the games, or at least there are quite a lot of common tracks, but the handling models are totally different. And I suppose the way the games progress are quite different as well, but I don't want to get into too much detail. Yeah, you probably can't hear the music on this. I've just turned it down a little bit, but it's quite there's a lot of kind of brass and horns and things like that. It's very cheesy in a nice Japanese way. Yeah, I do find the background's a little bit disturbing because you've got this clipping and pop-up, but the hills in the background are in perfect focus. I do wonder if it would have been better just fogging the whole thing out, maybe. Okay then, I think to briefly summarise, if you're going to go for one game on the Saturn out of this or Initial D, I think visually Initial D is more impressive, whereas this is a lot glitchier, and I think graphically is quite middle of the road for a Saturn game. It's certainly not up to the quality of games like Sega Rally, but on the other hand the frame rate is rock solid and the physics model's better, so I think if you want a game that feels more like a modern title, this is the one to get. Whereas if you really are an Initial D fan and you really want an Initial D game, then go for that. And this one certainly has this story mode, which, if that's, you know, if you like that kind of game, your adventure romance game, and you like racing, then this is up your street, but you've got to speak Japanese. But there is a battle mode, so this one has the better reputation, and I think I'm going to have to go with this one. As much as I like Initial D, I just find the handling on this is so much more entertaining, and there's a lot more to master in it, particularly when you get the harder tracks and you get higher speeds and whatnot. Right, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching.